Ben Vitale,
Present.
Grant Kyle,
Present.
Paul Pickney's excused, Aileen McNabb Coleman,
Present.
Joseph DeForest,
Present.
Terry Baxter,
Aye.
Joseph Bennett,
Present.
Frank Reginelli,
Here.
Pat Mahonix excused, Timothy Lattimore,
Here.
Michael Didio,
Here.
Ryan Foley,
Present.
Keith Batman.
Here. Okay. We could rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it's great to see so many people here tonight. I know some of you wish to speak. Some of you are just here to provide moral or other kinds of support. But whatever the reason for being here, thank you for coming. So tonight is a public hearing on the 2017 county budget, so that everyone understands we will not be voting on any aspect of the budget tonight. We will do that on December 15th. So if you have a statement to make about the budget and you have an interest in following through on that, I am sorry to say you have to come back on December 15th. But you're welcome then as well, and we hope that many of you will come back. Before we actually begin with those that want to speak, I want to make sure that everyone has read and understand the rules for speaking and privilege of the floor. Has everyone read those? We ask that you limit your comments to, there are only 6 people signed up so far, and our rule is 3 to 5 minutes. With just 6 people, I think 5 minutes will be fine. So we ask that you limit your discussion to 5 minutes. After 4 minutes, our legislative clerk will go, ding. What I want you to envision is a timer. That means you have 1 minute left, and we'd like you to wrap up if you can, so that we have plenty of time for everyone to speak that wishes to do so. Of course, I think it goes without saying, but I think it's important to say that everyone who speaks and everyone in the audience, as well as in the press, should maintain a sense of appropriateness, decorum, and respect. And that's all we ask. You may say anything you wish, as long as it's not disrespectful, singles out a member of staff or some such thing. So with that, oh, and by the way, anyone who's not signed up may still speak when we get through the list. We will simply ask you to sign up prior to speaking, so that you will have an opportunity later if you decide you have something to add or want to comment on something someone else has said. Okay. Finally, I know I keep saying finally, but finally, as a public hearing, the legislators may ask you questions for clarification, but there will not be a discussion. So a legislator doesn't understand something, that he or she may ask for clarification. We did have a meeting a couple weeks ago where we actually had a dialogue, and at that point, what we did is talked about issues. But in a public hearing, it's really pretty much a one-way. We're here to listen to what you have to say. Have I forgotten anything?
Nope.
Great. Okay. In that case, I think the first person on our list is Mary Lee Witherall. Oh, and if you could come up and state your name and your address, that would be very helpful.
No, right there.
My name is Mary Lee Witherell. I live at 11757 Schuler Road, Cato, New York. My purpose in coming here tonight is on behalf of the Stuart B. Lang Memorial Library in Cato. I'm on the Board of Trustees of the library and a frequent library patron as well. And I'm encouraging the legislature to restore funding that had been removed from county libraries a number of years ago. We are asking for funding to be restored to all county libraries in the amount of $60,000. As you probably know, Cayuga County does not maintain its own formal county library system, but the libraries interact with one another primarily via a cataloging system that enables us to do interlibrary loan and supports all of our cataloging functions. By supporting libraries in the amount of $60,000, you can save each individual library a significant portion of their own individual budgets, which are now devoted to that purpose. That funding, in turn, can be used to support our programming for preschool, for computer wireless access, all of the other services we provide to our patrons. We think it's a modest investment, and we hope that you will support it. In looking at the county's budget this year, I noticed that we have almost $1 million devoted to software. We hope that this $60,000 can be included and that you support the county library systems in the way that we feel they should be supported and would benefit all of the county citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our list is Elaine Myers.
Thank you. I'm Elaine Myers. I live at 1462 Atwater Road in King Ferry. I'm here because I am a relatively new resident to Cayuga County. My husband and I retired from Arizona and moved to upstate New York because we loved the environment and quality of life. I've been here before talking about the budget and the county's support. One of my peak moments was someone pointing out the Cayuga County seal and saying, it's an open book, thank you, Tim, an open book and a home. That means that learning begins in the home and that it is from birth to death an activity that is a symbol of our county. I find it very heartbreaking that we symbolically do not recognize this in our budget. It is a small amount. It is the best bang you'll get for your dollar in terms of cooperative networking and reducing duplication of effort. But also as someone coming in to know that the library is important and recognized by funding is a powerful statement, one that was recognized at the founding of our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Next up is Paul Bellner.
Paul Bellner, 4623 Riley Road, Moravia, New York. Sorry. And I've come here tonight being aware of the library system's request for the funding, knowing full well the pressure you're under with the funding. But I think that it needs to be said that this funding would certainly be well used in motivating and encouraging and helping our people in the county to acquire better jobs, get an education, a system with college. And I think in the end, it will pay big dividends, which as we all get more successful and live better, we pay more taxes. So the money may come back. Unfortunately, when people are not self-maintaining, when they're not able to participate, then the burden is also on the county legislature to provide funding, which they can't avoid. Anyway, you know, in generations, especially in my family and probably in most of yours, it's always been the thing to push up, push everybody up. The next generation had to do better than the last one, and we're all encouraged. And we need, fortunately, today in some families that's lacking, and we need to help to push up and to, you know, grow better people, grow more successful people, and people that can maintain themselves and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I was remiss, forgive me. And so if we can take a step back, does anyone have any questions of either Ms. Witherall, Ms. Myers, or Mr. Bellner? Clarification questions, yeah, forgive me, for Mr. Dennison.
Yeah, where, I guess for any of you, where is your funding coming from now? Like the Cato Library, isn't that part of our school taxes or not partially?
There is a special vote for the school budget, or for the library budget rather, at the same time that the school vote takes place. And that is part of our funding. Some funding comes from member items from the state, other funding comes from a variety of sources and fundraising and things that we do ourselves. But we really run on a shoestring, and so every little bit gives us the opportunity to provide more direct services to the children and families in our community.
Mr. Lattimore.
Mr. Chairman, a question towards the chair. I know before you were elected as a legislator, before you became chairman, you were instrumental with some of the Wi-Fi, and I pushed to give you the funding. What was it, 90,000 for the south end of the county?
Yes.
Is it technology improved where I know that the hot spots were at the library for these young people to learn? Is that network built in the south, or where are we now with the?
Yeah, the Hazard Library, actually, in Poplar Ridge, is using the Clarity Connect, and from what I understand, there you are.
We just got it about a month ago.
Right. Yeah, and the reports I've heard from the board is that it's working very well. And now Aurora, which is the other library in my district, and I think Moravia, unless I'm mistaken, Moravia wasn't actually in the service area. But so I don't know about Moravia when I think about it. Aurora has a Time Warner. No.
We have been on with Time Warner for quite a while. What we're seeing now is that we've been gifted through Time Warner for internet service for free. But what we're seeing is we don't have enough. We have a residential amount, and we're really having to possibly look at our budget to increase and purchase.
Oh well, I didn't know that. I'll talk with Clarity
Purchase
Connect
more,
about that.
You know, and I think we need to look at that, you know, as well. But for, you know, certainly a household line is just not.
Right.
We're
No, it wouldn't
noticing
be.
now with cutting it for us,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
so we're still seeing demand and people coming in, because, you know, people always come in with their devices, you know, and they're just hooking right up when they come through the village, and we're really noticing within the past couple of months.
Thank you. Right.
We're behind it
Right.
now, so.
Don't
Well, I
pay
know-
for anything till you talk to me.
I know Legislator Tucker is very interested in doing something in the north, and I'm just wondering whether or not, if we fund the library system, does that give the residents some place to go to connect?
Can I actually speak next, because I'm from the library system, and I think I
Would
could answer
you go
these questions? I'm next on the list, actually. Is that okay with people? to
Yeah.
answer
Yes.
it?
Now I was going to say something smart, Alecky, because it is as everyone here knows, it's my nature, but I'm not going to.
I think I can answer some of your questions. I'm Sarah Glagowski, 405 Campbell Ave, Ithaca, New York. I'm the executive director of the Finger Lakes Library System, and I proudly represent all 9 of our Cayuga County libraries. To get to your question, and help me out too for the libraries that are in the crowd, it's a mixture of, for their Wi-Fi, there are some areas that still struggle with them, but there are certain areas that have better Wi-Fi access. What I can tell you is internet access and Wi-Fi access is instrumental to all of 9 of our libraries. People expect their public library to be the provider of high-speed internet and Wi-Fi that is available. Even when the library's closed, you will find that people will stand outside or sit in their cars in parking lots and use people's Wi-Fi. That's very common for a public library today. As for the funding question that someone asked earlier, all of our libraries have different funding modules in the Finger Lakes Library System. Some have votes, some have public referendums. Every library in our system gets a small amount of money from New York State. there's a variety of funding options, town, village money. So it's a wide range for all 9 of our libraries. So any other questions that I can answer before I speak a little more? Yeah.
One little point I would like to make about the public library has always been free access. You don't need money to get knowledge, to become who you wish to be. It costs to have internet connectivity. If you walk into a public library, it's like a book, a database. It's free. You can be who you want to be, regardless of financial circumstances.
Yep. What Elaine said is absolutely true. All of our libraries, and we serve 33 libraries in our library system, but especially the 9 libraries that we're speaking about tonight, offer all of these services on a daily basis. Your 9 libraries in Cayuga County are vital parts of your community. They are community centers. They are where people turn to in times of crisis, in times of need, in times of comfort. People with young family use the libraries, single people use the library, retired people. We are especially seeing an increase of people using the library if they are looking for jobs. I think people have a false perception that it's very easy to apply for jobs these days. If you are not comfortable with filling out a job form online, that's how most jobs are these days to get a job. And a lot of people go to their public library, and all of our library directors offer assistance in helping people fill out job applications on a very regular basis. Our libraries provide vital programming for our communities, from anything from early literacy program, from story times, to just recreational use, such as book discussion groups, local history gatherings. So our libraries are an impactful portion of our community, and I think that's evident today when we see all of these people here in support of the library. What we're asking is for you to consider funding the Cayuga County Libraries again. We're asking for $60,000 to be split equally between the 9 libraries. The $60,000 will offset something called Polaris. And if you have ever searched for a library book or DVD online, you've used Polaris. It's our online cataloging system. But it's beyond that. It's also the back door of how our libraries function. Our library directors can get statistics such as how many books are in their collection, what books are overdue, if they need to order new titles. So this online cataloging system is vital to the operation of the libraries. Our libraries are good stewards of using public money efficiently. All 9 of our libraries collaborate with each other. They do collaborations with outreach to our schools, to local early child care centers, to retirement homes. They work with each other collaboratively on a very regular basis for grant funding opportunities. They are really good stewards of using public money. So I ask you to please consider funding us for the $60,000 split equally with 9 libraries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Sarah. Wait a minute, Sarah. Yes, Ms. Foley.
If I could just ask one question. So the $60,000, and I think I've spoken with you through email and
Sure.
trying to work through this. I do want to clarify, is it an annual cost that's part of the operating budget of the library system, or?
Each year, we have to offset our charges. Unlike the libraries, over 80% of my funding for the library system comes from New York State. And so right now, we're on kind of a tenuous budget situation with what's going on with the state. We charge our libraries, for the most part, $5,800 a year. Auburn does a little bit more. They're a little over $13,000 to provide Polaris. This would be to offset those costs. As I've explained in emails before, will the libraries be able to provide this? Theoretically, yes. But this money that we're asking for will help offset costs. It will boost circulation. If they don't have this money from the county, their collection might be decreased. Programs that they want to be able to provide might not be able to take part. So this is an annual cost. We're asking you to consider one-time funding to start out. But it is a cost for Polaris that we do ask the libraries for every year. Yep.
Mr. Didio.
Ma'am, how much of this funding from this legislature would the city of Auburn receive?
It would be a equal split of 60,000 between the 9 libraries.
Mr. Dennison.
If the county was to give you this money, would there be any chance that the state would then give you less because they're thinking the county, you know what I mean?
No, our state funding is set in April with the state budget. They would not give us less money if counties. I can say I represent 5 counties: Cayuga, Cortland, Seneca, Cayuga, and Tompkins County. Right now, currently, 3 out of the 5 counties provide county funding to not only their libraries, but to us as a system to help offset delivery costs. You are one of them, and Cortland County just dropped last year their funding to us and their libraries. But the other 3 do fund all of their libraries, and they also do a yearly funding to our system, the Finger Lakes Library System. Yep.
Ms. Lattimore.
To go back to the Wi-Fi system, I mean, having hotspots in the county also helps our ag businesses.
Absolutely.
And any other business that needs a hook. I know that some of the farmers have to go every night to certain locations in order to upload and do all the technical things they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So having different locations within the county is important for not just the library system, but for private sector people.
Yes, and your libraries are spread out in your county too. Yep, it's a very agricultural county. Yep.
Mr. Forrest.
I'm assuming that were we to fund it to the amount that's being asked for, this would also open up funds within the individual libraries conceivably to leverage more money.
Absolutely, yes. It will open up funding to add to their collections, to provide more programming, to do more outreach to schools, daycares, retirement centers. It could open up a whole host of things that they could be using this extra money for.
Possibly matching funds too from, I mean, sometimes in funding that you put, if you're able to put up so much, then it might help with that too.
You mean from us?
As far as matching funds from other organizations.
Grants and stuff, yes, yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, other questions? Mr. Foley.
Yeah, and one of the email exchanges, I think I'm misunderstanding something.
Sure.
One of the email exchanges, given his question, that will open up additional funding for library. But in one of the email exchanges, I was told that if libraries don't receive this funding, they may have to cut back on programming and books. So is it going to open up? Is it going to open up additional funding, or is it going to reduce if they don't get it? I guess that's.
I think it could be a mixture of both. If right now it's budget time. Everyone's crafting their budget. If they knew that they could have this money, it could open up possibilities for other things for them. So that's the way I'm thinking of it. Grants, when we apply for grants, they always want to see, are you being good stewards of your money? Are you making an effort to go out and do, partnerships with other people? So I think it could be a mixture. I can say that giving the libraries this extra money will help them do other things that are vital to all of their libraries. If you have the opportunity, like I do, to travel throughout the 9 libraries in our county, they're very busy places, and Hazard Library is smaller than about a quarter of this room, and the amount of stuff they do in that library is absolutely incredible in terms of programming. I want our libraries to be the best that they can be. I think all of us do, and to be able to offer our community members as much as possible with the limited amount of funds they have.
What are the comparable other counties putting into their systems and through your organization?
Sure. It's as low as $5,000 to each library, and my highest is Tompkins County, and those libraries get upwards of $17,000 to $20,000 per year for their libraries.
And how many libraries are in those counties?
It depends. Our smallest county has 5. Most of our libraries have between 8 and 9 libraries. You guys have the largest, the 9 for Cayuga County, but most of them have about 7 or 8. So Tompkins County is definitely the best funded for counties. But we are also getting an increase this year in Seneca County. In fact, we got a 10% increase in Seneca County due to them having a new casino that will be opening up next year. So keep that in mind.
Well, we're on the line. We don't get any of that. Ms. Lattimore.
Just Mr. Erskine, the late Mr. Erskine, who was a fine director of the Seymour Library. Back in the days when we knew that this was going to be an issue with funding, we developed the special tax for the Seymour Library, which there's a vote tomorrow. I just want to remind everybody to get out and vote. Support your local library.
Thank you.
Yeah, funding options for public libraries are very limited these days, especially with state money. The only true, what the state advises us to tell people is the only way for true sustainable funding is a vote, but not all libraries are ready for that, and it's our goal to work with libraries to make them be the best that they can be until they're at that level, and that's why every bit of funding helps, including county funding.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is the Doug Ferrers. Doug?
My name is Doug Fervers. I reside at 93 Prospect Street, Auburn. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I wanted to bring forward some specific information in regard to the Cornell Cooperative Extension and our funding. Our current 2016 appropriation is $244,675. That appropriation covers 71.75% of our total payroll. The balance of that payroll, or 28.25%, is generated from federal, state, and contract for service fees. So in other words, in addition to the support that this body provides us, which we're very appreciative of, we're generating a 28% addition in terms of delivery from staff on funds that are not generated from taxpayers of Cayuga County. That's nearly $100,000, $96,000 plus in terms of a financial match that's provided. In addition, unlike county departments, as you review your budget document, you've got a substantial cost for benefits for nearly every department there is. In our case, there's an additional $179,000 in funds that are covered from SUNY aid to locality funds. So when a dollar from this body is provided to Cooperative Extension, it goes directly to payroll. There's not any of your funds that are used on any other expenses. So all of our operational costs, our overhead, our building, our facilities, transportation, training, all of that is paid for from external funds. That includes health insurance, retirement, major medical, and all of the benefits that are being paid from the SUNY aid to localities. Currently, we have 11 staff, which on a full-time basis would equal just over 9 3/4 people. We're also the most cost-effective cooperative extension in any of the neighboring 10 counties. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the appropriation support provided by either the Board of Supervisors or the legislature, all of our neighboring counties are receiving $30,000 and more than we receive in terms of local support to support their programming. Being cost-effective, however, does not equate to being poor quality. Our staff, I'm extremely proud of. Last year, we had a national winner of an achievement award. This year, we had 2 New York State winners recognizing the work that they do in youth development and 4-H. Our staff has not had a cost of living or COLA increase over the past 3 years. And in my initial 2017 funding request, we requested 3% after what will now be a 4-year period going into 2017. The cost of that would be $10,655. In the current climate that we're all residing in, we certainly recognize the difficult decisions that this body has to make, living to a state cap, also delivering services and not dipping into fund balance and reserve funds too extensively. We're also facing climatic volatility, increasing challenges, invasive species, and challenges for every aspect of our society. And our education makes the deepest attempt possible to deliver on those things. What I'm concerned about is to avoid losing talented staff based on low compensation. What I would hate to do is be faced with increasing challenges educationally to deliver and have staff make career choices simply because they haven't been recognized or haven't been had a COLA adjustment in 4 years' time. We provide research-based education not only from Cornell as a New York State land grant, but from land grant universities across the country. And the research that we bring and deliver is of the cutting-edge nature. We represent a significant value and bargain to the county, and I fully understand that we're a non-mandated service. We're not a required department or a required agency. We're a contractual authorized agency. And I certainly appreciate and understand that fully. The choices before you are never easy. Many of our surrounding counties have looked at the 60% payroll, 40% benefit split, and see it as an opportunity to further extend delivery by supporting the Cooperative Extension Association with additional salary dollars to maintain and improve programming and delivery to the citizens of the county. I'm requesting your thoughtful consideration of that 3% COLA after 4 years or the $10,655. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Oh, question, Terry?
Yes. If you were to receive that $10,000, there would be more money forthcoming from other places because of that $10,000 or not?
Yes. In our match formula, whether it's a one-time or it's an adjustment to the base appropriation, there's a 3-year average formula that's used with the federal support and the state support, which would increase based on the $10,000 increment. It won't be anywhere close to a $10,000 match, but there will be additional resources that would come from both the federal side and the state side.
Mr. Dennison.
So in the past 4 years, have you gotten any increase from state or federal or Cornell? Or?
We had a minor increase. Our increase this year from the federal side was $500. That was the federal increase. State, we've been level funded because in 2013 there was a fairly substantial reduction in our support. The 3-year average on that is now catching up to us. So our state match has not increased at all. In fact, it's down from where it was in 14 and 15 because of the 3-year averaging. So when it works in both directions. So when there was a reduction made in 13, that reduction carries forward 3 years in the state formula for match. we do, and as a system, there is an intent to request from the state that they revisit County Law 224B. There was, some number of years ago, legislation authorized, but no funds ever appropriated. So in other words, once again, you could talk about state mandates, but there was an authorization to improve funding, but the appropriation to increase those state funds has never occurred.
Mr. Lattimore.
Again, we have a large ag business, and I think that the cooperative extension goes right along with it. I know that the show that we put on at the 4-H helps the children learn about their parents' business, and hopefully it'll be carried on. And I know that the chairman and our Ms. Sinclair were on Mr. Cosentino's show the other day, saying that financially we look pretty solid this year. So I would be in favor of increasing the budget that amount.
Anything else? Okay. Doug, thank you. Next is Sue Edinger.
Hello, my name is Sue Edinger. I live at 1340 Thornton Grove in Skaneateles. I was actually here tonight. I'm the chair of the CETA board. I know we're going to have some discussions later on, or I think about that particular topic. But when I walked in the room and heard that this was also on the agenda, I want to speak a little bit from a business perspective. I'm the general manager for the Inns of Aurora down in Aurora, New York. And candidly, we do quite a bit to help support our local library there because we find it vital to the community and our ability to attract employees to our businesses there. We host 2 different fundraising events down there each year. We have a book lovers ball that raises quite a bit of money for the local library. And then we also do a community supper once a year where we're bringing in, we take some of the proceeds from that to help support the library. So I just would like to ask you to consider from a business perspective, it's very important for us to have these vital libraries in play. Aurora is a great example of that. I think they do a phenomenal job with it. And I suspect, as are many businesses, the libraries are great resources for local employees. Without that, I think we would have a very difficult time attracting as many employees as we do to the village. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Does anyone, before you go, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Edinger? Okay. You're dismissed.
I can see you're very good at that.
Okay, that's the list of everyone who signed up in advance. Does anyone else wish to speak who has not yet signed up? Yes, please come forward and sign up.
Hello, I'm Cheryl Austin. I live at 3389 Cowdle Road, Wheatsport, and I'm the director at Wheatsport Free Library. And I brought along a prop tonight for you to enjoy. Our library just celebrated our 20th year in our new library and held a wonderful open house for the community to come in and celebrate those 20 years that have gone so quickly. And one of our young patrons came and presented us with a birthday card. And it goes like this: Happy birthday, library. She wrote, I love books on the front. Dear library, I feel like I've enjoyed your books for 10 years, but I'm only 8. Love Callahan, and she wrote the rest of her family members on the card, and with a little quote that says, happily ever after. So I think there's a lifelong library user right there. What do you think? Thank you for listening and talking about libraries tonight.
questions? So, is anyone else who hasn't signed up wish to speak? Charlie?
My name is Charlie Green. I live at 4102 Murray Road in the town of Niles. I'm here to request a minimum of $150,000 to establish a local fund for the restoration of Owasco Lake. The county and the city continually request funds from the state and federal governments. They've been told, in effect, that there will be no money for the restoration of Owasco Lake beyond what has already been contributed to the 9 Elements plan. The county and the city are engaged in developing a plan B for next summer, which will be probably appears to be some variation of stockpiling drinking water in a warehouse, hiring engineering firms to look at the cost of water from Skaneateles Lake via Syracuse and connecting into Aqua from Lake Ontario. I've received a public email that was distributed to all the legislators and perhaps others. I guess in response to that, I would say that the legislature is cowardly. I would say they're derelict in their duty. And I would say, in a progressive viewpoint, you all are guilty of ecocide, which is essentially ecological homicide. You have left your decision to the last minute. You refused to vote tonight. I spoke at length with Keith and Mike and Aileen and David Gould, and an attorney that I've known since we were half a year old. And the primary reason that I will end my conversation shortly is if we had initiative, I would think you all should be recalled. I think you are exploiting the poor people of this county that paid almost $5 million in 2015 for water, which instead of being the best tasting water in New York State as it was in 1997, is now on a daily basis. The level of toxins are not reported in layperson's language, but are reported in parts per billion or micrograms per liter. So I encourage you all to resign tonight. Thank you.
Anyone have questions for Charlie? Okay, thank you. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? All right then. So I guess that the scene, do I see, is there,
Mr. Chairman.
am I missing someone? Mr. Foley.
At this time, I'd like to call for, like, a motion for an executive session.
Okay, so we have a motion for executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Baxter, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so at this point, I'll close the public hearing since no one else wishes to speak, and we'll go into executive session. So, thank you. Do you want, we can leave. If you are, there are fewer of us, so if you prefer, we can leave, or if you all want to leave. Huh? Yes, unless someone else wants to speak. Okay, so, thank you. I guess we'll stay here if everyone's leaving. No, there will be no business. Pending litigation,